So you might be thinking to yourself, wow, big whoop, Kevin. In the last couple of minutes here, you showed me how I can save $1,200. Cool. But what if you can use large commercial real estate investing to 10x, 20x, or 30x that number? That is where the power is. And that is the secret that the professional investors know that you don't.
All right. Hello, LabCoatAgents. I am Jason Martin, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of wealth creation today, real estate agents and how to create some wealth. And we've got a special guest, Kevin Brenner, founder and CEO of Nimbus Capital. And I'm going to hit you right away, Kevin, and just say, look, most real estate agents, you and I were talking about this the other day, a majority of real estate agents, it's scary, but it's true, are borderline broke, aren't they?
Yeah, no, and that's the stark fact. And what I'm trying to do with this, guys, if you're listening right now, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to pitch you anything. I'm literally going to show you a secret on how the rich get wealthy. And in general, if you take a look at the last 3 years in real estate, as the market has gone up, real estate agents have done really, really well. But the one thing they haven't done, Jason, as we talked about, was no one teaches you how to do these strategies, how to create this wealth. The most experienced investors and entrepreneurs understand this, but most agents don't, and it's not their fault.
Yeah,
but I'm here to write that
ship.
We
were lucky enough to do an in-person meeting here the other day. We're both based in DC. Some of the stuff you were telling me, I've been at it for 20 years. I didn't know. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's fascinating. And I should step back and while I say most real estate agents, a lot of them are broke. Of course, if you're a member of the LabCoat agent community, that's not you, because you're here to educate yourself. So don't take offense to my comment right out of the gate. But if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. If you're on Facebook, you can throw them in there as well, and they'll cycle through. And if we need to pause and field your question, we're happy to do that. So Kevin, set us up. Why are you qualified to talk to me, the agent, about wealth? What gives you a pass here? Tell me, what is it about you?
Yeah, no, I love that, Jason. So I kind of stumbled upon real estate, and we're going to talk about my background a little bit later, but started building my own wealth. While I was in the military, I'm still technically active duty. As this recording, I have 1 month left of active duty in the Air Force, serving at the Pentagon in DC. But I was starting creating wealth, and I was buying apartment buildings, and I was doing this and I was doing that. And the one thing I noticed, because I'd work with agents to get these apartment buildings, they're small multifamilies, you build this portfolio, use residential loan, all that stuff, right? And I saw the agents going from commission to commission, contract to contract. And I just assumed by the cars they were driving and the clothes that they were wearing that they're doing really well. And some of them are. And then when I got to talking with them and just talking about just the bare bones basics of real estate investing, they don't know. And the more I talked about it, the more I said, wow, there's a real problem here. So, I worked on this idea and cultivated this idea and launched my own private equity firm specifically to educate realtors on what is available to them. Because like I said earlier, you don't know what you don't know. It's not your fault. But in the game of real estate investing or any investing, time is our greatest commodity. Money will come and go. You'll put money in good investments. You'll put money in bad investments. You'll spend money. You'll make money. It doesn't matter. Money comes and goes. Don't worry about that. The earlier you know this knowledge, the more time you can leverage, and the quicker you'll reach financial freedom. And the goal of this for agents, keep this in mind while we're going through this. The goal for agents here is really to create multiple streams of independent passive income that fund your lifestyle, that fund your car, that fund your house, that fund, your kids' school, that fund all of this stuff. And then you can sell houses when you want to, not because you have to. So that is really, really critical. And that's what my private equity firm is all about, providing those solutions.
We jokingly said the other day in our conversation, most agents take a front door key to the grave with them. And that's it. And sure, there's the passion and the love for doing it. But I liked what you said right there, where it becomes an option for you. So we're talking about passive income. We're talking about wealth creation. This is something that's not just important for you, but it's important for your family to understand this. And if you want to spend more time with your family, create some passive income. And let's take a deep dive of how we're going to do this. It's an exciting topic, Kevin. So I'm happy you're a guest on here today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I want to kick this and I want to get into it because what we're talking about now is I'm going to specifically share with you how you, the agent, can save $22,000 of your commissions and actually begin creating wealth in your sleep. That's what passive income is. You're creating wealth in your sleep. You're leveraging your time properly. That's what it's all about, time. Remember that one commodity. So if you're ready, Jason, I'm ready. Let's kick this.
Let's kick it off for sure. And I want to say one quick thing, and then we'll get started. But when we talk about passive income, and the other day when we met, you and I got into the passive income conversation. A lot of people throw that out there, passive income, and it really isn't passive, right? It's the term is used too loosely. What we are going to talk about today, and I got a look at this, is genuinely, like authentically passive income. And that's exciting. So yeah, let's roll. I can't wait.
All right, man, let's kick it. And shout out to Austin Linney who had in the chat. I was on his podcast, fabulous human being. Austin, thanks for attending, bro. All right, let's kick this, guys. So, all right. So, again, my name's Kevin Brenner. You saw on the title slide there. I'm going to teach you this secret, how the rich become wealthy, because there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. When you're rich, you got a lot of money. When you're wealthy, you got a lot of passive income and you got a lot of time. And that's the difference, that freedom, that choice that we talked about. But I'm going to teach you a secret tax reduction strategy here. That's not going to be boring. It's not going to bore you to death, because it's actually possible. And it's really targeted for specifically real estate agents and real estate professionals. So it's for you guys listening right now. But before you fall asleep on me, like me right there at my wife's bridal shower, don't recommend doing that. But before you do that, what I want you to do is put your phone down, guys. Put your phone down. I'm actually going to tell you when to pick your phone back up, because I want to actually have you take pictures of some of these slides. Whether you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Facebook, you're watching it live with me right now, I want you to be focused, because what I'm about to teach you is not death by PowerPoint. It's an actual wake-up call. It's something that you should have known years and years and years ago. It's something that they should teach in the, in the agents licensing exams. They should teach it at association level. They should teach it at your brokerages, but a lot of the times they just don't. And I'm going to show you how to do this right now. And I also want you to know that this is not a loophole. What I'm sharing with you is not some crazy scheme. I'm not wearing tinfoil on my head and I'm going to tell you, oh, this is how you break the law and get around the tax law. And no, that's not what this is. In fact, what I'm going to show you is actually promoted by the government, because when the government wants us to do something, they incentivize us, the taxpayer. When Uncle Sam wants me to do something, they incentivize us. Think of the child tax credit. It is in the United States government's best interest for the population to grow. And to do that, they incentivize us financially with child tax credits. They do the same thing with real estate and real estate investing. They want people, us investors, agents, they want us to provide housing and economic stability for other people. That's what makes the world go round, right? So they motivate us through these deductions and depreciation and all of these things I'm going to show you. But there is a problem. And the problem here is that I kind of alluded to it earlier, and Jason, you alluded to it as well. A lot of real estate pros, you got strong backgrounds in sales, marketing, lead gen, customer service, client relations, conversions, team building, all of this stuff that's awesome that you absolutely need for selling. And as a result, you're getting commissions, which is great. But no one really teaches you along the way how to convert these excess commissions. Like once you figure out, hey, I've made enough commissions for me to live a comfortable life or the life that I choose or whatever, no one teaches you how to create true wealth with that. They just show you how to create more and more commissions, and then you don't know what to do with it. Then you got a problem. So my number one goal here, again, it's not to sell you anything. It's not to pitch you anything. That's not what this is about. This is about lighting a light bulb. If I can light the light bulb in your head right now, that if you're an agent out there and you're selling and you say, wow, I have excess commissions and I need to start thinking about passive wealth and I need to start thinking about these strategies, and I need to start taking, my family from being potentially rich to actually being wealthy. If I can light that light bulb in your head, my mission is complete. That is it, guys. So that's why I'm super stoked. That's why I'm super passionate to be here. So again, who's this for? High performing agents. If you're a top producer and you're selling between 7 to 10 to $15 million a year, this is definitely for you. This is something that hopefully someone has shared with you before, but if not, that's okay. Because remember, it's no one's fault. You don't know what you don't know. And now we're going to turn the corner. Also, for just any real estate pro, if you're a lender, you're a broker, you're working on commission and you're around real estate, this is for you. Really aspiring wealth creators and investors and anyone who wants to achieve financial freedom faster. That's who this is for. And if you stay until the end, guys, what I'm going to do is not only am I going to teach you this secret strategy that's going to save you literally thousands of dollars in taxes, but I'm a believer in rewarding folks for hanging around and who have to listen to me. So I'm going to throw in a copy of my free ebook. There's going to be a QR code at the end. All you got to do is scan it. Boom, you get your free ebook. And it goes through even more detail of this strategy. You can share it with other agents. You can do lunch and learns. You can teach. I don't care what you do, but you can take that with you and take it to the bank. So Jason alluded to it earlier. Who the heck am I? My name is Kevin Brenner, and I'm an author, Air Force officer, mentor, and educator in the real estate space, podcaster with over 300,000 downloads, and most recently, I'm a multi-million-dollar fund manager for my firm, and most importantly, I'm a husband to my beautiful wife. And like I said earlier, I'm the founder and CEO of Nimbus Capital, and what we are a private equity firm, a micro private equity firm what we do is we work with real estate professionals and agents, and we collect capital, and then we invest in a bunch of great apartment buildings around the country. And you can see our partners' track record there, almost $2 billion in assets, 18,000 units, and 23 years experience. We are placing money with great operators, and we're helping our investors achieve those passive returns. But let's get to the actual brass tacks. So first things first, again, everyone listening to this right now, there's a lot of people logged into this right now. There's a lot of people watching it live. There's a lot of people watching it, on YouTube. Everyone has a different tax situation. So it's super, super imperative that you understand that what I'm telling you, this is not professional tax advice. I'm not a professional tax advisor, but as a real estate agent, no matter what level you are, you should have an enrolled agent or a CPA, someone in your corner. And make sure that you consult your professional tax advisor so you can learn how the following strategies could actually impact your tax liability. And that's what this is about, right? It's all personalized to you. So this next couple slides, we're going to go over the basics of this strategy, right? So if you got a notepad out, you got a pen out, start taking notes. This is what you want to know. All right. So first things first here, guys, what is depreciation? What does it actually mean? It's a word you might have heard of before, but essentially it's recovery of capital spent on the acquisition of assets. And if that is Chinese to you, then it pretty much means the general wear and tear of an asset over its useful life, right? So unlike standard depreciation that gets taken all at once, like things, things that you would write off your taxes normally, whether it's a business lunch or a, personal car, travel or repairs, real estate is actually depreciated over a longer period of time, according to what the IRS calls a schedule. And I'm using air quotes over here, right? But let's look at an example because this might be blowing some of your minds. Let's pretend here that you are not a real estate agent. You are a cafe owner, right? And let's say that, you own this cafe and you need a new espresso maker. And I'm talking one of those big boy espresso makers, like the things, I don't know, not at Starbucks, but like the cool cafes. No shade on Starbucks, but you know what I mean, Jason. Yeah. So your business needs to buy a new one and it costs $10,000, right? And you look at the IRS schedule and your CPA says, oh, okay, well, the useful life of this espresso maker is 7 years. So therefore, when we look at the math here, you can deduct almost $1,500 per year over the 7 years. And if you're confused, I want you to check this out. So all we do is we take the $10,000, the cost basis of the espresso machine, we divide that by 7 years, boom, $1,429. That's your depreciation expense. And at the end of the day, what that does, it allows us to lower our taxable income for a number of years. So this depreciation, right? This $1,429, what it eventually adds up to, it creates what's called a paper loss. Even if it's finance or it's paid in cash, doesn't matter. It's going to be a paper loss. And what they don't tell you is that this long-term loss is actually a massive win for investors, right? So we want paper losses to offset our income, because the more paper losses we have, the less the government can tax us on. So when structured properly, some of these paper losses can be passed through and applied to a real estate professional's other ordinary income. And I'm going to tell you, like, what the heck does that mean? Other ordinary income. Well, there's two types. There's active income. And active income, you can read all this stuff if you want to, but active income is what do you do? What are you trading your time for money for? What are you spending your time doing while you're selling houses? That's your active income, right? Or whatever it is you do. If you're a lender, if you're broke, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're trading your time for money for the most, that's your active income. The one we're going to talk about is the other one, passive income. Passive income is defined as net rental income or income from a business in which the taxpayer does not materially participate. And here's the infographic of passive income, right? You got the conveyor belt full of money. You're maxing out on your chair, drinking your Kool-Aid, watching YouTube, maybe watching this presentation over and over again because it's that good, right, Jason?
Well, passive income is really, I define it rather simply. It's the opportunity to choose how you spend your time. You know,
exactly.
They talk about wealth, they talk about dollars, and that's all good. It really, at the end of the day, is nothing. It's opportunity for you to define how you want to spend your time. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally, absolutely right. And what I want to really highlight is for the real estate professional out there, for the real estate agent, guys, this next slide is crucial. Your active income is your commissions. Your active income is your commissions. So what's the difference between, I've mentioned this word real estate professional and what's the difference between that and a W-2 earner, right? So a W-2 earner, they have caps, they have limitations. A W-2 earner can only deduct up to $25,000 of passive losses, i.e. depreciation. And that's only if they're making less than $100,000 per year. And over time, this phases out. But the key about being what's actually dubbed a real estate professional by the IRS is that you can deduct unlimited passive losses, so unlimited amount of these paper losses against your active income, which we just said is your commissions. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down now, you can be invested into large real estate projects or any real estate project, take that depreciation and have that actually wipe out your active income and pay no taxes or pay significantly less taxes. Let's say that, right? Depending on what kind of depreciation we're talking about. So you might be asking yourself right now, well, that sounds pretty sweet, Kevin. And am I a real estate professional? Well, that's something that you need to ask your tax advisor, right? Because you got to qualify. It's not just willy-nilly, right? But these 6 words up here, something that I want you to do, I want you to take a picture of this. And I want you to say, go to your professional tax advisor, whoever he or she is, and say, am I a real estate professional? And here are the qualifications. You could show this slide to them and say, you might be qualified as a real estate pro if more than half your services are performed in real property trades or businesses. Well, I mean, obviously they are. If you're an active real estate agent and you're doing this full time and you don't have a W-2 on the side, you're definitely trading in business. Now, the key here is the businesses that you materially participate in. And in order to kind of check that box, if you're a realtor out there that might have a couple rental properties, maybe 1 rental property, 2 rental properties, a short-term rental somewhere, whatever, you're dabbling, right? Then all you have to do is, that's material participation. All you have to do is prove that you've worked at 750 hours of this during the year, whether that's, doing the accounting, showing the place, managing the short-term rental, having the guests come. It's not that difficult to prove. It sounds like monumental, 750 hours, but it's not that bad. And your CPA will help you do this and help you prove it and set yourself up for success. But if you are a real estate professional, it is absolutely huge. And we're going to talk about the benefits as we go forward here. So we talked about owning a cafe in the first example. Now let's kind of talk about real estate. So again, we talked about this schedule of real estate and how it works, and there's a bunch of different types, and we talked about, well, it's all about the useful life of the property. In residential real estate, the useful life, according to the IRS, of a property is 27.5 years. And for commercial real estate, it's 39 years. Now, keep in mind, residential real estate is obviously your single family, your duplex, your triplex, your condo, whatever. But also, according to the IRS, residential is also large multifamily because residents are living in it. Commercial real estate, according to the IRS, that's like your shopping centers and your, grocery stores and things like that. Business offices, retail. That's commercial real estate. It's built to last longer, if that makes sense. So the key point here is that you can continue to depreciate rental property over the time until you sell the property, or until you've depreciated the entire cost basis. And I'll show you some examples here. So example number 2, let's say you're a real estate agent and you buy a rental property for $250K, and you want to hold this thing. I mean, you want to hold it for 30 years. The land value of this thing's $50,000, and the cost basis, or the building value, is $200,000, right? You can't depreciate the value of land. It just doesn't work like that. You can only depreciate the actual structure that sits on the land. And let's say at the end of the year, after all expenses, you earn $6,000 in passive rental income, right? But now you're like, oh crap, I got to pay taxes on this, right? Not so fast, because remember our friend depreciation. Well, it turns out that you're able to depreciate $7,273 each year from this property. And you're probably confused right now, and it's okay, I got you. We're going to do some math here. 200,000 divided by 27 and a half years, boom, there's your $7,273, which happens to be 3.63%. Your result here is, in real life, Jason, let's say this is you. In real life, Jason is $6,000 richer than he was last year. Yes, that is awesome, right? But on paper, Jason, you've taken a loss of $1,273. And then you can use this loss to offset your other ordinary income. So here we go. Had $6,000, right? That's what he made in rental income. But boom, at the end of the year, oh, wow, I got a depreciation expense. Let's account for that. On paper, Jason, you lost money on this deal. And people, novice investors out there are like, oh God, I lost money. But the pro investors out there are like, yes, I lost money, Yeah. So it's how you look at the problem, right? And again, as a real estate professional, you can apply this towards your other ordinary income, and your other ordinary income is your commissions. So you might be thinking to yourself, wow, big whoop, Kevin, in the last couple of minutes here, you showed me how I can save $1,200. Cool. But what if you can use large commercial real estate investing to 10x, 20x, or 30x that number? That is where the power is. And that is the secret that the professional investors know that you don't. That's how some of the top hedge fund folks and stuff are making millions and millions of dollars, and they're not paying taxes, not because they don't have to pay taxes, because they have so much depreciation in their assets. It will catch up to them.
So when we talk about depreciation, so folks are sitting out there going right now, okay, they're wrestling with this term depreciation a little bit. We're not automatically, and Kevin, just correct me if I'm wrong, don't make the assumption that your value of the property is going down. The market might be going up 6% on your asset. We're just separating that out. So it's not a depreciating item. It just is only on paper. And you want to make that distinction.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Jason. And what I tell clients and other folks is that it's not, just like you said, it has nothing to do with the market appreciating, because in real estate, if you look at the last 30 years, you guys all know this, you're real estate pros and agents, the market generally appreciates, right? In real estate. What this is it's accounting for the wear and tear of the property. Like properties age, they need repairs, right? Just like anything needs repairs. This accounts for that. And it gives taxpayers an incentive to buy more real estate. And that's why 95% of millionaires make their first $1 million in real estate. And I'll tell you what, most of those millionaires are not selling real estate. They're buying and holding real estate because of the tax benefits and because of the value. So, So what I want you to start thinking about is how you can level up. And in this next section here, we're going to talk about how 10x, 20x, or 30x that paper loss. So not all expenses are equal. What the heck does that mean? Well, we talked about this 27.5-year schedule and this 39-year schedule, right? Those are the two, residential and commercial. But in fact, some expenses operate on an advanced schedule, a 5, 7, or 15-year schedule. So here's some examples. Your 5-year, you got your computers, office machinery, appliances, 7-year office furniture and equipment, 15-year roads, fences, swimming pool. The IRS and their 10,000 pages of code actually dictate out everything that falls in these schedules. And the reason is because some things last longer than other things. They're built to last longer, and some things don't, and as they all have different levels of depreciation, right? Different schedules, different useful lives. So why do we love multifamily? Why do I love multifamily as a fund manager in private equity? I'll tell you why. Because commercial property, specifically multifamily, happens to contain a lot of these 5, 7, and 15-year items. Think about it. Think about, the last time you drove through either a high rise or you're in a high rise, your friend's apartment or whatever, and it's a 400 unit, something or other. Well, that's 400 HVACs. There's probably a swimming pool. There might be a laundry facility. There's parking lots, fences, signs, parking garages. There's all of these things that all have different depreciable assets, and they're all on different schedules, right? And there's an example right there. That's one of our assets in Texas, 552 units. You can see a splash pad there for the kids. They got a pool. They got all the, the grill area, the pavilion, the fencing, all of that stuff, the sidewalks, all of it depreciates on a different schedule. And there's a thing called a cost segregation. And this is part of the strategy for the investors and the owners, right? The cost segregation is a tax strategy that allows accelerated depreciation. So pretty much you're able to take these 5, 7, and 15-year items and front load them all to the front of the schedule. And I'm going to show you how in a second. But what it really is you hire a team of CPAs and engineers, and they come to the property, they take photos, and they write out this massive report. And what they do is they split up on the entire property what's 5, 7, and 15-year items and what's 27.5-year items, right? Like what's what? That's what they're telling you, right? And in 2017, the previous administration, love them or hate them, passed a law called the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. And snuck into that law was this little number. Any personal property placed into service after the law was passed is eligible for 100% bonus depreciation. And bonus depreciation, that means all of these 5, 7, and 15-year items can all be depreciated. All of them, all come to you in the first year of ownership. All right, so let's look at an example. Let's say that you get sick of selling real estate and you just decide, screw this, I'm going to buy a 24-unit apartment building for $1 million. All right, and let's say for math's sake that the cost base is $1 million too, right? You know that it's a residential property, right? Because people are living in there.
Just so everybody's clear, cost basis is the cost of the building excluding the land.
Yeah. And in this case, and Jason, that's a great question. In this case, I just made it for math's sake, $1 million across. Normally, the land would be different. Yeah. But, so the building depreciates over 27.5 years. After all the expenses, you end up making 30 grand in profit in your first year. People pay rent, you get 30 grand, right? That's how it works. Well, using the same formula that we've been using on a standard depreciation, 27.5 years, you divide that into your $1 million, and you get a $36,000 depreciation expense, a $36,000 paper loss, right? Well, we do the same thing. We subtract, and we end up with this negative $6,000 net loss on our rental real estate. So that was without a cost segregation. What if we did a cost segregation? Let's see what it looks like then. This is where it gets exciting. So same rules. You buy a 24-unit apartment building, and you hire a team to do a cost segregation. The study comes back and it says, hey, Jason, your building here, 27% of it actually operates on 5, 7, and 15-year schedules. And the 73% of it is still on the standard 27.5-year schedule. All right, great. What the heck does that mean? Well, that means that 27% of $1 million is $270,000. So that means that $270,000 worth of value is on these 5, 7, and 15-year items, this bonus depreciation, right? And the rest is on the 27.5. So $730,000, the remainder of the depreciation that you could take is on the 27.5-year schedule. And here we go with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act again. Remember, you can take 100% of all that bonus depreciation all in the first year. So let's say, Jason, you own this place for 6 years and then you decide to sell. Well, in year 1 of owning this building, because you did a cost segregation, you're going to get $270,000 plus the standard $26,545 that you would normally. So your total depreciation in year 1 is $296,000. That is a massive paper loss. Yeah, that is massive. And guess what? Over the 6 years that you own this property, Jason, you're going to get depreciation that totals $430,000 because you got to add up the other 5 years of the $26,000 that you're getting normally, right? So you add up the bonus, you add up the standard for the entire 6 years, and boom, you get $429,000 of depreciation. So let's say this building profits, you get $30,000 a year in profit. So you made $180K over 6 years, right? Awesome. Great for you, Jason. But after you apply all this depreciation that you got, turns out that you have a paper loss of $250K. And that leftover loss can be applied to other ordinary income you've made over that same time span. What's other ordinary income? It's your commissions. So that means you could be invested into real estate and selling real estate at the same time, taking the depreciation from these massive multifamily buildings and applying that towards your other ordinary income, significantly reducing your tax liability and not shelling out, $20,000, $30,000 a quarter to the IRS. You might be thinking to yourself right now, well, Kevin, that's fine and dandy, but I don't have $1 million in the bank. That's not fair. Well, the truth is you don't have to have millions in the bank to reap the tax benefits of large commercial real estate. And I'm going to teach you how in this next section where we talk about thinking passively. And I alluded to this earlier, Jason, when we got started back in the beginning, but the rich get wealthy by converting active income into multiple streams of independent passive income. That is the secret. If you want to take a picture of this slide, if you want to, tattoo it on your arm, you probably should. It depends how, dedicated you are to this. Maybe frame it. This is the secret. This is it. This is the thing that no one tells you. In this next example, we're actually going to take a real estate agent, and I'm going to walk you through how they can save a ton of money. So here's our friend stock photo Danielle. She's from Canva. She's my friend. She is just like you. She is a real estate agent. Maybe she's a high performing real estate agent, top producer. She's selling $12.5 million a year in gross volume. So she's doing good, right? She's doing very well. She's a single tax filer and she's a qualified real estate professional. So at the end of the day, Danielle takes home about $225,000 in commissions. But because of that, she pays 35% in federal taxes. That's $65,000 of that per year goes to the government. That's just the federal taxes, by the way. So Danielle loves selling real estate, but she's got a major tax problem. Using passive income strategies, Danielle could actually invest her excess commissions and become a limited partner in a real estate fund or a syndication. I'm going to show you what a limited partner is. What does that mean? A limited partner, its basic definition here is you're a silent partner. You're a hands-off investor. You're a passive investor that takes part in a real estate limited partnership. And by providing the capital investment to these partnerships, you get distributions, you get dividends, and you get a slice of the pie. You own the building, right? Or you own a slice of the fund. So here's Danielle again. Here's her dilemma. If Danielle could invest her commissions into one of these limited partnerships and become a limited partner, well, she's not responsible for the day-to-day operations. I want to really key on that. As an LP, you're not making business decisions. You are, what Jason said earlier, completely passive. That's how it goes.
The faucet leaks. You're not taking the call and sending a plumber out. Okay.
Nope, not doing any of that. You got a whole
I'm not managing the rental income.
Nope.
I'm not leasing the property. Okay.
Nope. You're not doing any of that. You are passive. You are silent.
And Sophia asked a good question. Is this the same as a REIT?
So it's similar to a REIT. Well, a REIT is a form of a limited partnership, but a REIT, Sophia, great question. A REIT is publicly traded. So a REIT, because it's publicly traded, they usually have higher fees to get in than some of these private funds that we'll talk about down the road. But essentially at a base level, yes, you could be a passive investor in a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust. So yeah, that's a great question. I love that. So again here, Danielle, in this scenario, she remains silent and she invests alongside of other qualified limited partners and gets a healthy return on investment. Plus she gets the tax benefits of whatever she's investing in, let's say commercial real estate, right? So what does this look like? What would this look like, actually for Danielle? Well, if she were involved in a Nimbus Capital fund or something like that, the stuff that we do, if she invested $50,000 because of the depreciation in year one, she could see, 50%, 60% of that come back to her, about 33 grand come back to her in one of those paper losses that we talked about, right? So what does that actually mean? So that means that, well, She earned $225,000 per year in commissions, right? She currently pays 35%. So right now, before investing, Danielle pays $65,000 a year in federal taxes. But if she invested 50K of her excess commissions, which she doesn't need to live off of, she could reduce her income by $33,000. So what does that look like? Well, when you reduce your income, it's called an adjusted gross income in tax talk, right? It's an adjusted gross income. So you have your base income, your 225 minus your depreciation that you apply at the end of the year. And now Danielle is actually making $191,000 on paper. So there's Danielle's adjusted gross income. But now because she's at that level, she pays lower taxes. She's taxed at a different rate. Look at the chart here. She's in that top rate instead of the bottom rate. And we do the math here and how taxes are actually calculated on a marginal tax rate. And her new taxes end up becoming $42,000. So before she was an LP, or excuse me, before Danielle was an LP, she was not making any money on her investment and she was paying $65K a year in taxes. After becoming an LP, she's making 16% on her investment, and she's only paying $42,000 in taxes. That's a tax savings of $22,000.
Does that 22,000 that didn't that doesn't include the 16%?
No, it doesn't. No, this is just coming off the top. This is the tax savings. This is the government saying, Danielle, thank you very much for investing in a project that housed a lot of people and did good for the community and provided economic stability for wherever the building was built or was.
And by the way, Danielle didn't look like she's even paying state income taxes, so it's probably higher than that. I saw only federal there. So
Okay. Exactly. So yeah, we're only talking about the federal stuff here, but it works across the board. So you guys can start seeing how these top investors around the world, or even in this country, are trading these properties back and forth, and their depreciation is so much. I mean, we're talking about, investing $50,000. Like, when you have more means, you can invest a lot more and still get this. But what we're talking about, that 22,000, that's almost 6K a quarter. And boom, what would you do with an extra 6K a quarter in your pocket every single year? I mean, let's go Cancun. That's where I'm going. You know what I mean? Business trip, maybe.
No, forget that. You save it for your next $50,000 investment.
There you go. You're halfway there
after year one, and then you just keep rolling that over and rolling it over. So as I'm actually thinking about this, and this is real time. So this wasn't we didn't come up with this prior or anything like that. As I'm thinking about this, I would get half of my $50,000 back in savings essentially in year one, not including the 16% interest. If I roll that over into year two or year three, you could start with one $50,000 investment and roll it, and be pretty well off. Yeah, essentially, yeah. Now remember, Jason, you only get the bonus depreciation in year one. So from on years 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, if you hold the property for 6 years, like you're just going to get the standard depreciation. Right. Okay. So just remember that piece. But because multifamily real estate has so much of this bonus depreciation, so much of these items in it, that's why investors target that asset class, and that's why folks get by without paying taxes for a long time, because they have this depreciation. So at the end of the day here, kind of capping this off, your results, Danielle, she invested $50,000 of her excess commissions into a fund where she earns a 16% internal rate of return, and she saves $20,000 on her taxes. Not too shabby. And guys, just remember, this is an example. This is not like, I have to say that disclaimer that, there's risk and there's returns, and none of this is guaranteed stuff. But the point I'm trying to make is this is the strategy. And think about it. What if she invested 75? What if she invested 100? And there's a lot of agents out there listening to this right now who might be doing much better than Danielle. They might be doing a lot better. But if your tax strategy at the end of the year is to go buy a Bentley, you're not doing it right. Because that depreciation on a one-time depreciation on a Bentley is actually capped, and it's pretty low. There is no recurring depreciation on a car. Ask your CPA. But you might be thinking, okay, well, how the heck do I become an LP? Well, there's a lot, you got to do. You got to find a team, find a sponsor, review the deal, understand the business, legal documents, wire. But number one, you got to figure out how to qualify for the deal. And that's what I want to talk about here. So in the world of private placements, and I know Sophia asked a question about REITs. REITs are publicly traded.
right? So a REIT is kind of like a stock pretty much. You're still passive in it. You still get a little bit of ownership, but you're not going to get it as good of returns typically. There's a thing called private placements and unregistered securities. Most of the large multifamily and the assets where the investors are making a lot of money quicker is on this off-market basis, right? So there's no MLS for any of these type of deals. They're all broker to broker, handshake deals, hey, direct to seller kind of stuff. And they're operated by teams and companies and private equity firms. And that's where this stuff trades. But as a what's called an accredited investor, you're able to get into this on the ground floor. And that's the special part. So what is an accredited investor? The term accredited investor it's a guideline created by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and they're an agency. So it's a law really, right? And what it says is it's a threshold. Folks who are accredited investors at the end of the day, the SEC says you're able to understand the risks of an investment and make a decision that's great for you and your family. And if it goes south, you're able to handle that loss. This is in place so effectively grandma doesn't go and invest, $40,000 into a Ponzi scheme and lose it all, and that this is and it ends up on the street, right? That's what this is for. That's what the SEC and the federal government created this. So what does it mean? It means there's two. Let's talk about this. There's two different main tests that you can kind of qualify as what's called an accredited investor. And the first test is called the income test. So in order to pass the income test, you must have an annual income of $200,000 per year or $300,000 if you're married for the last 2 years with a reasonable expectation of making that in the future. And you can either be qualified alone or with a spouse, but you can't like combine it over the last 2 years. And we can walk you through that process. So that's one way, right? The other way to be qualified as an accredited investor, or the other most common way, I should say, is called the net worth test. And the net worth test says if your net worth exceeds $1 million, whether you're married or you're single, and this doesn't include your primary residence, doesn't include the equity in your home that you live in right now, then you're an accredited investor. And the key about this, guys, is that the SEC or the IRS or no one comes and knocks on your door with a big check and Publishers Clearinghouse balloons and says, hey, congratulations, you're an accredited investor. No one does that. And most agents I talk to look at me and say, oh man, I could have been getting into these deals a lot earlier. And some of these, a lot of these deals, they're reserved for accredited investors only because it's how the SEC kind of protects. It's their way of protecting investors from risk, kind of protecting people from themselves a little bit. So they say, okay, well, a lot of these deals, even the funds and stuff that I work with in the private equity side, they're all for accredited investors only. But if the whole thing is, if you're a real estate agent out there and you're doing well and you don't know that you're accredited, how the heck are you going to know to get into these deals, right? So that is super, super important. So I want you to take a picture of this slide.
By the way, guys, we're sitting here the other day and the couch behind us and we're talking about this. Oh, that's cool. I'm an accredited investor. Never knew it. So if you're like me and you didn't know it, don't worry about it. And now you know.
And that's what was all about. So like I said in the beginning of this, Jason, it's, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm here to fix that because no one in the private equity space comes to real estate agents and talk to them about this. And that's why we're here. And that's why, LabCoatAgents wanted to bring me on. And I'm grateful for that because it's all about lighting that light bulb. And once if you are an accredited investor, right now, there's so many investing doors that are open for you. But if you didn't know what it was, you don't know those doors are available. And then your time is dwindling away. And time is our best friend when we talk about investing. So again, how can I become an LP? You got to do all of this stuff. You want to be a passive investor. You got to qualify for the deal. You got to understand the business. You got to wire the money and do all this stuff. Or you can just give me a call, talk to me, let us do the heavy lifting. There's some of the assets that our team has already. And, this is the part where I give you free stuff. Everyone loves free stuff, right? So what I want you to do is scan this QR code, take your phone out, scan the QR code and fill out the questions there. And it's going to get you a copy of our ebook, which explains this in even greater detail. You can share it with other agents on your teams. You can, this is stuff not just for accredited investors and agents. I mean, the investments are, but I'm talking about the knowledge. The earlier you can educate your teams on this, the better. Because even if you have an agent who's not accredited or they just started out, you can line up a wealth roadmap for these people and say, hey, when I reach this level, boom, let's go. Let's start getting into some investment deals. But
And
if you don't know,
the ebook, Kevin, has basically everything we've covered so far here today. It's got all
it's
the
got even
slides
more
in there, because a couple of people are asking how they can get that. Right there, scan the QR code and you'll get it.
Yeah, the ebook doesn't have the slides in here. The ebook has more details on the actual concept. So it,
Okay.
but of course, if you want these slides, we can get the recording to you, no problem. And it's also going to be posted on YouTube, from what I understand. So it'll be on the LabCoatAgents YouTube, and we'll figure out a way. The team here will figure out a way to get that recording. But I urge you guys, scan the QR code, answer all the questions, and you'll get the ebook right away. And yeah, and also if you are accredited and you want to talk about this stuff, a link to my calendar shows up in that same Facebook Messenger bot. When you scan the QR code, a calendar link shows up. Book a call. I'd love to talk to you about this. Because this is the stuff that, again, it takes people from being rich to being wealthy. It's that step to create generational wealth. It's that step to create freedom to, again, choose when you want to sell houses. Not because you have to sell houses. You don't have to live contract to contract. You don't have to live transaction to transaction and rely on commissions. What if you can rely on the passive income you're getting from being passive investors in some of these deals, and then work when you want to? And you could still have that burning passion inside of you, but you don't have the pressure anymore. And you're going to find yourself with more clients, more fun, more health, more happiness, because you have the time. And that's what's really important.
Well, I appreciate you. And I know that the audience is interested, because I often watch the participants, and it's either because I'm extremely boring or the topic just doesn't garner their attention. The participants continued to rise during this entire session, and they stayed on the entire time. So that means to me, Kevin, that you did a pretty good job breaking down terms, whether it be cost segregation or REET or accredited investor, cost depreciation, net profit. There's a lot of terminology out here, but it's you broke it down pretty well, and I'm grateful for that. I don't think my tax accountant can do it as well as you just did it, quite frankly, the way you described it. Because if you're also like me, you go to your tax accountant, they're throwing terms out there, like, I don't even understand how that fits in. I'm going to watch this again, and I'm going to study it a little bit. I'm going to consider what you're laying down here, because it's certainly interesting. And if people they can get the QR code right there, how else can they find you, Kevin?
Yeah. The best way, honestly, is get the QR code, because you can set up a call and actually and actually talk with me. But also just shoot me an email. It's kevin@risewithnimbus.com. I'll type this in the chat for everyone. Just type my email right there. And then our website here is www.risewithnimbus.com. That's Nimbus Capital. And we have a lot of great opportunities on the table for August right now. And things are rocking and rolling, and we're helping people kind of realize what passive income is all about. And I'll tell you, Jason, I was talking to a mentor of mine, and he's a private equity guy, and he took a private equity firm from $2 billion to $77 billion in assets under management. In so doing, he hasn't paid taxes in 6 or 7 years, because he's been involved in these deals, and they're trading country clubs and like massive kind of, big real estate, and it's like, holy smokes, dude. He's like, and I had lunch with him, and he's like, yeah, it's going to catch up to me at some point, but I'm 66 years old and I haven't paid taxes in a while, but they'll get me, but I'm going to enjoy my life, while I can now. And his passive income is, well exceeding anything that he could possibly spend. And that is just super, super critical. And Susan put in there, guys, can we get her the email, the link to the recording? How does that work?
Sandra's on here. We'll make sure
Okay.
everybody has access to it. So that's not a problem. And Sandra and Jake are here on the back end support, so we can make sure you guys have it. And the recording's saved anyway, so we've got it. uploaded on YouTube. You can find it there. That's a perfect spot to go and grab it.
And I'd love to answer any questions. If anyone's got questions, you got me here. I don't know how much time we have, Jason, but I'd love to get those questions answered.
Yeah, if you guys got a question and you're worried about asking, don't be. Go ahead. It's an open conversation. Like I said, I learned it first time the other day, and this has just opened my mind even more. And it becomes more and more interesting the more you hear it. So if you want to ask a question, go ahead. There's the link to the YouTube channel. It'll be there, and you can watch it again. I'd highly recommend that, and then use the QR code as well. And then go from there. So they've got another webinar on the back end of this, so we'll have to probably jump off here, Kevin. But
Okay.
It is it's been awesome having you, man. And thanks for breaking that down. And I'm sure you'll be a guest on LabCoatAgents in the very, very near future. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I love that. And thanks again to the LabCoatAgents team, Tristan, Sandra, Jake, Jason, everyone on the LCA team. You've been extremely gracious, and I hope I was able to light some light bulbs today. And of course, guys, scan that QR code, book a call with me. Let's have a chat. 15 minutes, it's gonna be worth it. Trust me. So yeah, it was a true pleasure.
Well, appreciate your time, and everyone have a great weekend. Until next time. So long.
All right. See ya.